And welcome to Cannabis Conversations with the Candidates. I'm Neil Smith. With me tonight is Jack Kane, Secretary of Indiana NORML, Brian Campbell of the Monroe County Cannabis Coalition, and Shelley McDonald, one of our wonderful cannabis nurses. Our guest tonight is Democratic candidate for U.S. Congressional District 5, Jeannine Lee Lake. We are sponsored tonight by Hometown CBD in Plainfield, Indiana, and the Indiana NORML store. Jeannine, welcome to Indiana NORML.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on. I appreciate the invite, and I hope to learn as much as I can tonight. I'm all ears.
Okay. Tell us something about yourself. What's your background, and why do you want to run for office?
Well, I do get that question about it.
Now we're breaking up a little bit there. We got some storm areas going. I hope we haven't lost her. Well, maybe we can get her back. Are you there?
Now, but it kind of cut out for a second.
Yeah, okay. As we've got a lot of storms and a lot of electronic activity in the air tonight, so it may be a little rough. I was asking you about just to tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background and why do you want to run for office?
Yes, hi there. Yes, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, we got you.
Okay. Yes, Jeannine Lee Lake is my name. I'm 52 years old, and I'm a resident of Muncie, Indiana, and Delaware County. I came here in 1987 as a 17-year-old freshman, majoring in journalism. Came from my hometown of Crawfordsville, Indiana, where my mom and dad were pastors there. So we have a nice background that really has been challenged, I guess, in a lot of ways by the proposals of marijuana and its legalization, at least the platform that I came from and was raised in. So I may be in a situation where, I find myself at least often trying to open eyes and open ears and have the conversation sometimes that people, at least that I grew up with in these Christian circles, African American churches, to have a different view. I decided to run for Congress in 2018. I ran against Greg Pence in 2018 and 2020. And I did so because, I guess I knew that we're a red state, and my chances would be low for an actual victory. I thought there were some good things that I had to say, everything from my pro-choice views to protecting LGBTQIA communities to Medicare for all. And I went into it, I think, in 2018 with the idea that I wanted to have the conversations about legalizing marijuana here in Indiana. And then, which, I guess if I'm a federal candidate, though, that's not something that, that we forward, but we can at least have the conversation and influence others. And I definitely am a proponent of it. I need to know more. I'm here to learn more. I have studied what Indiana NORML's research, promotions are on your website, and I have done a little bit of that. But I'm definitely open to to hearing more. I have some questions of my own as well, but I'm definitely. I'm 100% for medical marijuana, and also for, in terms of recreational use for adults, and under a certain amount of products. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
What led you to support relegalization of cannabis specifically?
Well, I don't even know if this is like the politically correct answer, but as an African American woman, one, I'm tired of seeing people that I know go to jail and sometimes even prison for later charges and for trumped up charges, all related to whether or not they had a little weed in their car when they got pulled over. It seems one very prejudicial and discriminatory because obviously we get pulled over at a higher rate than our white counterparts. And I've got 12 brothers, and I've been in 3 sons, and I it's a part of my family that is important to me to be able to represent. While I may not partake myself, um, it seems asinine to me that we're punishing people for such small amounts of marijuana, and then getting them into the criminal justice system, having their lives really impacted by this. Especially, I mean, and when you look at the idea of all the other uh, pharmaceutical drugs that are out there, really doing the same exact thing, the same exact use as people who smoke marijuana. So I don't. That's I like I said before. I don't know if that's the politically correct answer, but that's my answer.
If it's true, who cares whether it's politically correct or not?
Yeah.
Jack, I believe you got a couple of questions.
Yeah, Jeannine, thanks very much for coming on the show tonight. We're real excited about talking with you. And well, I was wondering, you talked about it personally in terms of how it affects your family. What about nationwide? Why is legalization important to you on a nationwide level?
Well, it's the same. It's the same premise. I mean, because I gave you the personal example of my family, but everybody else has the same families and same brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters that choose to engage in personal use. In fact, it's really really interesting today. A member of my church, a former member of my church, she moved to Arizona. She was telling me this morning, she said, Jeannine, I know, she said, I just want to let you know that I started smoking marijuana again. I said, and I'm Charmaine, you guys won't know her, but she said, I said, Charmaine, I've never had a problem with you doing that. I don't know why you have to announce it to me. It's not my business. I said, and secondly, it's something that she has partaken in for decades. She's a working member of society. She's a very credible, genuine, sweet, loving, kind, gentle, service-oriented person. I think that she's run into backlash from people in the church community that have known, but certainly not me. And I was telling her that this morning. I was like, I've never had a problem with that. I said, that's been your hang up, not my hang up. But I'm thinking, why would you want to add stressful situation to somebody that's literally just trying to take away some of their stress? I mean, and pain. She's got neuropathy through her body. And that was the reason why she was telling me, she's like, I've had diabetes real bad, and I've got, neuropathy now all through my body. And so I recently started, smoking again a couple of years ago. And I just, I don't know why she felt the need to tell me, but I was like, it really is none of my business. It's a private matter.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now, the woman you speak of that used to go to your church, when she was on cannabis, how did she behave?
She's just like I said. I consider her one of my best friends. I consider her a reliable person. She worked, quite honestly, in a situation with younger youth, and she's, I trust her with. She lived with me for a time. I trust her with my life, my business. I don't have any. She's just fine. She's better now. she was always better, quite honestly. It was always better when she took care of herself, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And a component of that was her smoking weed or marijuana cannabis, I guess is the correct way.
Got a lot of names, doesn't it?
Right. But
Now,
I just think it's a shame that a grown woman who's a tax-paying member of society, who chooses not to take a, I guess, FDA approved whatever medicine from, Prozac or whatever it is that they offer, that have some of the same, remedies, that she's having to apologize or feel like she has to make excuses for that. That to me is very unfortunate and sad, and it should not be.
so she would you say that she breaks the propaganda and stereotype that that a stoner is a lazy person that doesn't work hard,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She's none of those kind of stereotypes, as are most people that I personally know. There, like I said before, there are people that I know that I love that are, managers and, business people. I don't quite understand sometimes why people in Congress and government really don't see the benefits of this. I don't know if it's just cultural. I don't know if it's what the stigma is. Maybe they still think it's a gateway drug. I don't know. That's what maybe came up from those old videos we watched in the 6th grade. I don't know what it is, but I think we need to start expanding our thought processes, to include the idea that what someone said, someone who engages with cannabis, is just a stereotype.
Thank you. Kelly, you got a question?
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally relate to your friend as, I bought the 80s propaganda hook, line, and sinker. And oh gosh, when I had to come out and tell my family that I partaked in cannabis, it was really a big deal. So thank you for helping your friend overcome that stigma. Thank you for working with the public and the church population. With all that all said, what's kind of your impression on why cannabis became illegal to begin with?
Well, I mean, why it became illegal to begin with? Probably because most of the laws that are, I mean, if we were speaking freely, which of course I try to do, most of the laws that are part of this land were formed for control. Most of the laws of this land were created by white males, whether it's to keep certain populations in check, to keep certain parts of the city or demographics or whatever it is. A lot of our laws were created, established, and maintained for control. So there's my answer.
That's some great insight. Thank you. Thank you. Neil?
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, really and truthfully, how many laws do you know, especially that have been on the books? Everything from interracial marriage, didn't want that. I mean, seriously, I mean, these laws are there for a reason because they were based on someone's quote unquote morality or what they thought was the best thing. Yeah.
Twisted.
Well, the man named Harry Anslinger, who came up with this idea of cannabis prohibition to begin with, it was known to be very racist. Of course, this was 1930s America. I mean, Jim Crow rule, and it was mostly black longshoremen, black farmers, sharecroppers, people like that, along with Mexicans that enjoyed cannabis, and they, looked at that as a part of a thing that white people shouldn't do.
Right.
God, what a bunch of, and there's no logic behind it. There's no truth behind it to why cannabis was made illegal to begin with. Got a couple of questions from the audience right now. Tim Sons wants to know, where do you stand on homegrown gardens?
I don't know a lot about it. I don't know what the parameters would be. I'm open to learning a little bit more. Would Tim be available to talk about that, or would you all be able to talk a little bit more about that?
Oh,
What
well,
details?
we
Well, I
could.
know-
We do have some resources on it.
In Michigan, it's a 12 plant limit, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Shelley, why don't you tell us about what's going on in Michigan from that standpoint?
Well, in Michigan, it's a little different because we do have homegrown, which basically means that as a med patient or as a recreational user, I can, per my family unit, have 12 plants. During various stages of growth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It takes a lot of pressure off of the dispensaries as well. It helps the patient. For example, the strain that I use personally for pain and inflammation control is called Sunday Driver. It's a very hard one to find at the dispensaries. And even when you can find it, once they're sold out, you need to wait for that plant cycle to grow again to get more. So by allowing the homegrown as a patient or a rec user, I can always ensure that I have that particular strain on deck because I'm growing it myself like a garden.
Okay. Again, what would be the regulations of that?
They do have some pretty not necessarily strict, but if you do it outdoors at your home, it needs to be on private property or permission of the landlord.
Okay,
It does need to be enclosed in a fence, not visible per se by the road. It needs to be locked up, so people don't get in there. Or you can also do it as well inside your home in a growing greenhouse tent.
okay. I'm open to, I would definitely say that I'm open to, something like that, especially, there are limits. I guess the only thing, if I have any concerns about legalization, it's really not even with, with having it in your own home and having a certain amount of, plants that would be available. That's kind of what I thought that would entail. If I would have any questions, it would be more to the idea of pregnant women and the effects on pregnant women. Because I've really thought about this for the last couple of years. What's the research there? Because outside of pregnancy, I don't really have any really big questions about cannabis.
Well, actually, a fun fact on that is that women actually excrete with their breast milk after they have the baby endocannabinoids, and basically endocannabinoids are basically your own body's THC, self-made THC in a way. So that's expressed in the woman's breast milk at birth. I don't know that the research is really out there on pregnancy and cannabis use, other than all the women that have done it. I think that's where we need to go to for our research. It helps with the morning sickness, the cramps, especially, oh my goodness, remember the Charlie horses when you were pregnant? It's just all kinds of sorts of things, but the jury's still out on it. I think the answer is the research hasn't been done yet.
Okay.
A lot of the endocannabinoids that you would get, from the breast milk into the baby, they've existed there for thousands of years, since people have been on the planet. So it's, I'm not familiar of anybody that's had a problem. It says nothing on this planet is perfect, but we do have another question from B. Nizzle. Question is how can we get Republicans on board to legalization?
How can we have Republicans on board?
How can
For
we get them?
legalization.
How can we bring them across the aisle?
Well, Indiana here is a red state for the most part. I mean, in terms of voting, I'm not sure that the current stretch of what seems like to be a majority Trump Republicans are interested in much. We may have to wait. I mean, we may have to just wait and see if this season, this crop of Republicans leaves us. I don't know that we can do a lot with the ones that are in now. They're hell bent on some of the culture wars. They don't care. I mean, it seems like to me they're not really listening to research, whether it's with regards to this or anything else. If there's going to be change in the Republican Party, I believe it's going to start with the young Republicans in niche areas where we can maybe make some headway there. But the establishment Republicans and the Trump Republicans, they just, I don't know if it's the, what do you call it, the moral majority isms or
The
what?
Republicans.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know really the answer to that. Other than I think if we're going to be able to influence the Republicans, I think it's going to be the youth crowd, not the older ones. No offense to the older seasoned saints, as I call them.
Yeah, that's a good unoffensive way to do it.
I'm going to get on the video. I'm going to get on the video here shortly. I just gotten home from another event, so I'm going to actually get on the video. Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we do the video.
Okay.
We talked a little bit ago about the endocannabinoids that were in the mother's milk. You're gonna, if elected, you may be in a position where you've got to convince other Congress people, to support. How would you go about describing the endocannabinoid system to a colleague or to one of your constituents?
In terms of what specifically?
What is the that we have an endocannabinoid system that what it does, the basics of it. Don't expect you to be an endocannabinoid system expert, okay?
I would need help in that area. I guess I would say, specifically to be able to explain it. I don't think that I would be able to at this particular time really feel comfortable being able to defend or discuss it. I would like to learn more specifically about that, about what it is what the assertion is there.
Shelley,
That's when you call for us.
That's a great intro for Shelley.
Not a problem. I am happy to send you some information on it as well. The endocannabinoid system is a system they discovered in 1992 in our human bodies. They've also discovered it in pets as well. Similar to the respiratory system, the urinary system, the cardiac system, the body has a natural receptors and such for cannabis. In fact, we talked about it, the mother's breast milk is produced and a cannabinoid is produced for the breastfeeding as well. And what the endocannabinoid system does is it allows our body to work with the cannabis plant and kind of maintain a system of homeostasis or synergy where we're just at a good balance in our lives. A lot of people are finding relief with arthritis, pain control, addiction. The medical benefits of this is just kind of out of this world, pardon the expression. They've also found that there's an endocannabinoid deficiency. It's an actual condition, and they're starting to associate that with a lot of illnesses at this time. But I'll get you some information that's easy to understand.
Okay. Okay.
Jack, I believe you have a question.
Yeah, Jeannine, if Indiana, do you think that Indiana can legalize it even though the federal government doesn't do anything at all?
Do I think they can, or do I think they will?
Do you think that important distinction? A very important distinction. Can they? Do you think that you think there's a mechanism in place to allow that to happen?
Why not? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Do I think they will? No. But well, I guess I don't want to negate the efforts to try. I don't know. I mean, Governor Eric Holcomb for sure. And he's got what? Wasn't he just elected in 2020? Again, reelected.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 more years for sure.
2 more years.
And he's definitely not on board. I
always found it amusing that he, as a Republican, completely rejected the 10th Amendment.
Well, the thing that upsets me most about him is he smoked marijuana when he was in college. He knows what it's about. He's got experience with it. And he's going to turn around and threaten young people that if young people get arrested with marijuana, okay, they would not have the chances that he had to go and get in politics and be governor. If he'd have been arrested for possession back when he was young, never would have happened. And he can't see that and care about other people to try and alleviate that problem for young people.
Mitch Daniels got caught with a shoebox full. Not a day in prison.
I would imagine that the majority, at least 51%, I mean, of those people that went to college at some point, either tried it or engaged in it in some way. I mean, I'm not sure what the exact survey numbers are, but both times I went to college, it was something that I did. I don't have a problem saying it. I mean, most presidents that are alive right now, I think, have admitted to at least trying marijuana. Everybody from George Bush. I mean, the Republicans are they're right on there too. Did Governor Eric Holcomb actually admit that, or is that something that they've been found? I guess.
No, he admitted it.
He did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, who? I mean, who amongst us really hasn't?
There you go. Good point. Good point.
Not a lot of people. I'm sorry.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a break right now and get our commercials out of the way, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Indiana NORML memberships are back. Help us raise nonprofit dollars by becoming a member of Indiana NORML. The money raised will be used to educate the public about cannabis reform in Indiana, only for $25 a year. Visit www.indiananormal.org. Hometown CBD in Plainfield with a great variety of Delta 8 and CBD edibles, Delta 8 THC cartridges, and CBD oils. Hometown CBD, your source for high-quality CBD products you can trust in the greater Plainfield area.
And we are back. Brian, I believe you've got a question.
Yeah, if you would, please describe the difference between alcohol intoxication versus a cannabis high, to the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge, alcohol intoxication, I mean, as a non-science person, it seems to be not really in the same element as being a quote unquote high on marijuana, I guess. It seems much more dangerous. I can tell you that. I don't necessarily know the exact, I guess measurements of differences in terms of cognition or mobility and that kind of thing, in terms of a scientific rating. But the idea that they're judged so differently is amazing to me.
And how is cannabis different than other substances that have been deemed harmful, such as methamphetamines or, other drugs like that?
Well, it's natural for one. I mean, it's not built in the lab in the Walmart or in the Walmart parking lot.
Do you see cannabis as being more beneficial than, or just as if not more beneficial than, say, opiates or, something like that? More of a life-saving tool there than, the opiates that have been prescribed and have been killing so many Hoosiers and everybody across the nation, so many people across the nation.
Yeah, I think there's just a bill in Congress that's still dealing with that. It's the opiates have been detrimental to families, to children. It's the reason why there's been a large increase in children in the foster care system. It's taxed, the hospitals even before COVID. And especially here in the Midwest, Indiana, it's been terrible. And so it's definitely not in the same field as marijuana. My experience has not shown that.
Do you think that most people in government don't understand the difference, or are they just willfully ignorant?
I honestly think that it's more of it is more of in my opinion, it's still a stereotype. They don't really take into account that the reason why people engage with and smoke edibles, whatever it is see it as in terms of just a crime, or they have a negative connotation. I don't think they take time to really understand and research the various aspects of it. And also, the idea about even with the economy and what it could do for Indiana. It's just more of a no. We don't want to listen. We don't want to open the door. We're not interested in finding out more. And historically, that's been the case. But it could help Indiana in a lot of ways if at least it were at least discussed on a more serious level than what it has been.
I'd like to interject right now. Parts of Indiana are under a tornado warning. For those of you watching this live, Jackson and Lawrence County specifically have been mentioned. We do have some heavy duty weather coming in. If you got to leave, we will have this posted so you can watch it. It's important to know that Jeannine's positions. Shelley, over to you.
Well, yeah, we kind of talked about why you thought that there was resistance to cannabis legalization. When the evidence is presented, what are your thoughts about children and using cannabis as medicine?
Well, let me just answer one question really fast. If I'm speaking, personally, I saw my own loved ones that seem to do better with this as an option. Loved ones that I knew were good people, loved ones that I knew were hardworking, loved ones that I knew were people of faith, loved ones that I knew sometimes didn't have health care. So this was an option that was viable for them, and they partook with it. And that's overall why I felt like I needed to take a step back from what I had thought previously and really just listen. And when I started doing that, particularly with my nieces, my nephews, my children, I had a different view than what I previously had. In particular, I have a niece, and she told me that once I knew she had tremors and sometimes even seizures as she grew older. And she said, Aunt Jeannine, this is a situation where, it just makes me calm. I can actually work. And she works now. She works full time now. I think she's out of the state, and she's able to consistently work without tremors, without seizures. And she had to convince other people in the family that this was something that was a choice for her, and she would hope that we would support her in it. And so that's why I'm getting on today, because I think that people in my community know me as, I'm the daughter of a pastor. I was married to a pastor for 25 years. My grandfathers are both pastors. I'm from a family of faith, but I also know that we live in the real world. And instead of us continuously holding on to some of the traditions and belief systems that we had, that were actually built in a lot of ways to control us and to still keep us down in certain ways, to open up our eyes, ears, and our hearts to something more that could be beneficial to all.
I think
Jeannine,
that's a great answer.
Jeannine, do you know what cannabism is?
No, I do not. Again, I apologize for some of my ignorance here. I gotta be, that's why I wanted to come on. I'm not really.
Cannabism, spelled Kanehlbsm, was the holy anointing oil that Jesus of Nazareth used. And Bible scholars, even from the very conservative American Bible Scholars, an organization that looks into various aspects of the Christian religion, verified that that cannabis was used in the holy anointing oil.
Interesting.
All the Abrahamic religions used it at some point. So, and there's places in the Bible that, Genesis 1 verse 29, for example, that indicates that, it's that green seeded herbs are for our health.
Yeah.
And there's not one prohibition about cannabis in the Bible. So the religious argument does not work.
I find it odd that who said it, that religion is the opiate of the masses?
Yeah.
Well, that was Karl Marx.
I thought that was him.
I've read Karl a time or two.
I don't know. Some people might say religion is the opiate of the masses, and maybe you have freedom to do that. Why wouldn't you have freedom to?
Maybe we could call it that religion is the cannabis of life.
I think I like that.
Yeah, we don't need the opium.
Right. Yeah, because now that's a whole different meaning.
Yeah, really. Jack, I think we're up to you, aren't we?
Okay, yeah. Now, you're probably aware, Jeannine, that the 37 states have opted out of marijuana prohibition. And what that's resulted in is a boon in businesses. There's been 428,000 jobs created in the cannabis industry recently. But some of those people are still under threat of prosecution because of the conflict between state and local law, between state and federal laws. What would you do as a legislator to help protect them?
Well, I'm definitely of the mind that there needs to be retroactive pardoning of convictions related to small amounts of marijuana. I mean, I was thinking, we talked a little bit about Republicans. I think John Boehner, the former Speaker of the House, has been pretty proactive with regards to discussing this issue.
Yeah, now he's not in a position of power.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I think it should be, a situation where, if at all possible, that could be, a situation where they could go back and take back those convictions and allow people to have, go forward with a future without the encumbrances of a felony conviction or even a misdemeanor conviction, I guess.
Excellent.
So you would be in favor of expungement.
Absolutely.
We'll probably ask you a little bit more about that later. Brian?
Yeah. Will you push or pass legislation that acknowledges and protects employees' rights to use this medicine without repercussions from their employers or potential employers in the future?
Well, do you think, let me just ask you a quick question. Do you think that employers are still testing at the same rate that they used to for marijuana? Because I don't think they are they?
No, I don't think they are either. In fact, I know a lot of places that have stopped completely.
Right.
Very seldom is there a urine test. It's most frequently a swab, cheek test swab now.
I'm still drug tested for THC.
You are?
Yes, I work in healthcare. Yeah. Some of the places have lessened that a little bit. If you're honest and you say, hey, I've been in an illegal state recently, I may not pass. From what I understand, some places are being pretty cool on that. Okay, give it a couple weeks and we'll test you then.
Okay.
But it's been my experience, and even working at a dispensary in Michigan, I was told I would be drug tested if there was a workplace accident, and that did include the THC.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
I don't think they would have done anything, but it's just it's a technicality.
Right.
There was a viewer comment too that here in Plainfield, they are most of the workplaces are testing still for THC.
Mm.
Yeah, in Bloomington, they've laxed on that. They've really kind of took the progressive stance on that, and stopped, not all, but a lot of the jobs. The bigger factory jobs, like Catalent, Cook, stuff like those or Crane, naval or what is it, armored base or whatever it is, or
naval.
They do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the tobacco lobby is pressuring to keep cannabis illegal?
Well, I imagine that the money hungry, we hide research, we do whatever we want to do to keep the shareholders and the money coming in. Do I think that they're part of the pushback? Yes.
What kind of other groups do you think are part of the pushback?
Besides the religious groups, I think probably it's just more although, it seems like the public, I mean, from the research that I've done, just the cursory research, the general public seems okay with it in terms of recreational, or for sure medical use, right? And then to a certain degree, recreational.
Mm-hmm.
I know the prison industrial complex is really not behind cannabis. They want it to continue to be illegal so they can keep making money off of imprisoning, people for minor possession charges.
Right.
It seems that at least here on a state level, that we've got the biggest opponent we have is from the criminal justice system, judges and the like, who are using cannabis arrests to fund their own offices. And that's that situation's got to go. There's a problem, of course, with civil asset forfeiture as well, that which is basically legalized theft. I don't know how familiar you are with that particular issue. Back on the track. Oh, go ahead.
Could you expound a little bit on that, on the civil forfeiture?
Civil asset forfeiture is, the police can seize your property without even arresting you. They can say, I think you bought that computer with illegal money, so we're just going to take it. And it's up to you to prove that you didn't.
But that's what you're talking about with regards to cannabis, though?
That's
Same thing?
You broke up a little. What was that?
We're experiencing a little bit of the more severe. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Got in a little bit more rain, it looks like, outside, and so I may have to go.
Yeah, we're having some difficulties all the way around, I think. But yeah, that's civil asset forfeiture. It's technically a different issue, but they have used that on a lot of cannabis suspects. And it's legalized theft is all it is. And the police department gets to keep the proceeds if you can't prove that you paid for it with legal money. Now, how's that for a scam?
Again, it sounds like most of the laws written on the books in our country, definitely in the state of it.
It's an infringe, and it's in every state and federal law as well. So it's back on cannabis a little more directly, though. What are your thoughts on the legality of hemp flower? Hello, are we all still? Everybody looks frozen to me. Okay. Did you hear the question?
Hello?
Hello, are you there?
Hello? Hello?
Did you hear the?
Can you hear us?
I can now.
Okay.
Neil, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Boy, this is as bad as AM radio. Remember the old AM radios when there'd be a storm anywhere within 100 miles, you'd signal and go to hell. Yeah, I think this is about like that.
I saw over the air TV, and it happens all the time.
Yeah. Are you there, Jeannine?
Janine, if you need me to answer,
It's kind of coming in and out.
I can answer some of the questions if you guys need me to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're having some technical problems here. Are you familiar with when the federal government passed industrial hemp in 2018, that allowed hemp flower with less than 0.03 THC content which gave us a lot of CBD, CBG, THCV, all kinds of cannabinoids and natural byproducts of cannabis. There's been a lot of trouble with since it's technically legal. And of course, our legislature tried to illegalize it this past session and failed to do that. What do you feel? How do you feel about hemp flower?
So we actually did a post on her social media. My name is Jenny. I'm Jeannine's campaign manager, and we actually did a post on that actually this is affecting the farmers a great deal because they're destroying tons and tons of crops. So they're losing a crap ton of money. So Jeannine said that she wanted to make sure that when she got to Congress, that was one of her issues that she focused on, is helping those farmers to make sure that their crop didn't have to be destroyed because it had, I have dyslexia, so I miss the letters up all the time. I think it's THC. The quantity was too high, so they were destroying the crop. So she wanted to focus on making sure that that was not the case for them anymore, and that we found out a different solution so that way they can recuperate the money that they put into that crop season.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's we've got to protect hemp. We need hemp too. You know, and the 2018 Farm Bill was a real good step in that direction. Jack, over to you, buddy.
Hey, Brian's going to take a question. We're going to switch a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
Brian, you need to unmute, buddy.
Sorry about that. Pulled a Jack on that one.
Thanks so much.
Monopolizing the legal cannabis industry.
I didn't hear that. Can you say that again?
Sorry. How do we keep large corporations from monopolizing the legal cannabis industry?
I guess for what I would say is that, like, we would have to treat it like any other industry, right? And you would have to give mom and pops the same kind of resources that you give the larger corporations. A lot of times we give tip funds to large corporations and we make it a lot easier for them to expand in our local communities like Walmart and Target. We need to give those same exemptions, if not more, to mom and pop businesses and make sure that we set up grants and funding, not only on a state and local level, but actually at a federal level to make sure that these small businesses can compete and, you know, grow and expand.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, Jenny, tell us about the MORE Act. Are you familiar with the MORE Act that's in Congress now?
I am not. I'm familiar with a lot of stuff and I have to be an expert on a lot of things, but if you can fill me in a little bit, maybe I can answer the question.
Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, introduced by Jerry Sadler. I think he's from Colorado. It just passed the House of Representatives by a pretty large margin, or by a substantial margin. But what it will do is it will legalize, in effect, legalize cannabis. It'll take it off Schedule 1. Okay, it'll set up a federal commission to monitor the impact of legalization. Okay, and just kind of take the barriers away, and also then allow for expungement of people's records, and also do some of the things you're talking about in terms of community reinvestment, allowing cannabis revenues to be reinvested in local communities. Now, the interesting part is that it just passed in the House of Representatives, but all of our representatives, all the Republican representatives, including Victoria Sparks, voted against that. So how do you think that can impact what Jeannine is trying to do in her campaign?
So, like I said before, I'm from Illinois. And one of the first things they did here when they legalized weed was they expunged anybody's record that had it on there. I think that's really important, like Jeannine stated before, for a lot of reasons, especially being an African-American person. A lot of times those laws affect us more than anybody else, right? People of color are the ones that have the harsher sentences and get disenfranchised and marginalized more than any other group. So if you don't do that and you legalize weed and you just make it for the corporations, you're going to have a cycle of systematic oppression that will continue to repeat itself. So in order for that to end and for us to get more equality, then you're going to have to expunge people's records. I think I want to say it's Portugal that they legalized like almost all the drugs there. And when they did that, their crime rate plummeted, right? And it was because what was done in the dark had come to light. Because if I could buy that drug at a local store, then, you know, I didn't have to get it off the street. And so I look at that, and I'm not for, and neither is Jeannine, legalizing all the drugs. But if you're gonna legalize marijuana on a federal level, then you need to make sure that the people that were punished before for that need to have their record expunged, so that way they can continue on with their life cycle.
So you think that Jeannine would support the MORE Act?
I can tell you, yeah, she would.
That's what I would bet. All right, thank you.
Yes. You're
All
welcome.
right, we've got one other viewer question. And we'll, where'd it go? Oh yeah, what about from Tobias Marsh? What about protection for workers and workmen's comp denials for positive THC screens? Would you try to stop that?
No, and actually, I think that like there shouldn't be any drug testing on anybody that does marijuana. It's like testing for alcohol at the drug place, right? Like no one tests for alcohol unless you do something horrendous when you're at work. I think marijuana should be on the same level. I don't think when you do a drug test to go work at Home Depot, you can't do it because you had weed in your system. Like seriously, that doesn't inhibit you from doing a job, and it doesn't inhibit your work performance. Actually, for the most part, it enhances it and enhances your focus. So I would definitely support anything with workers' comp and all that stuff. And so would Jeannine, I can tell you that right now.
Good. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the show here. What else would you like to say about Jeannine Lee Lake and cannabis?
Jeannine is the only real Democrat that's running this upcoming election. She's the only one that's been a lifetime Democrat. She's the only one that supports progressive issues all around the board. She really just wants people to know that she's actually out here just trying to make our communities a better place, and not just in her local area. Jeannine will travel. Jeannine is crazy, you guys. Like seriously, she will travel 5 or 6 hours to go help somebody. I've talked to her on the phone, and she's like, "Hey, I had to go drive to the southern part of the state. I had a friend that needed some help." And I'm like, "That's like a 5-hour drive." And she's like, "Well, when a friend calls." So that's the kind of person that you want as a congresswoman or man, is that person that's not only looking at their district, but anybody in your state that needs that help. She's there for you. And so when she called me and asked me, can I help on her campaign? I didn't really want to do it. I'm going to be honest. I was like, I don't really. But she was like, Jen, she was like, we got to help these people. And I was like, okay. So that's the kind of person she is. She'll go find people no matter where they are to get help for her community.
That's the right attitude for any public servant to have. Jenny, I thank you and Jeannine both for being on our program, and
Anytime.
Thank you for covering her on the technical issues. Hope everybody's safe from this storm. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on Cannabis Conversations with the Candidates. I'm Neil Smith, and for Jack Kane, Brian Campbell, and Shelley McDonald, have a good evening.